Yes.
Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, January 24th, 2023 Tarrant County Commissioners Court meeting. I'm now calling the meeting to order. Roll call.
Tim O'Hare, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Elisa Simmons, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3. Manny Ramirez, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Yep.
Constitutes a quorum.
All right, thank you. Please, if everyone will rise for the invocation and the pledges to our flags. Would you bow with me? Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this county that we live in and we all call home. We thank you for each person who works for and supports the residents and businesses of Tarrant County. We just thank you for the country we live in, the state we live in. I ask that you bless our deliberations up here behind the podium, and I ask you to guide and direct us, and may we honor you in all that we do for our county and its citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. And Commissioner Brooks will lead us in the pledges.
Please join us in the various pledges. And the Texas pledge, for those of you who don't know it, appears on the screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. You may be seated. All right, next up, agenda announcements.
Thank you, honorable members of the court. We have several announcements as relates to this agenda, and then also some comments about next week's agenda. First of all, as it relates to this week's agenda, we can go to the Facilities Department. This is item 9E1. This is a consent item. We're going to remove that from consent, but we are going to take action on it today. We're going to remove it because of discussion. Also, members of the court, as it relates to the briefing item under current and emerging health issues, we've asked Mr. Tenasia to make a very quick presentation to the court. Our numbers on COVID are going down, and so we want to brief you on that and several other illnesses that are common in the community at this time. So, talking generally about the agenda today, you might notice that it's fairly light, and so
Thank you
please,
for that, GK.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Commissioner, because I was going to say don't get used to it, because I wanted to tell you what we're going to be doing next week. This is something new that we're doing at staff level. We want to at least give you all a heads up about the things that we're going to be talking about. Many of these are going to be on briefing, but it's something that you might want to think about this week, and we'll be giving you other information. And so we're going to be talking about, first of all, we're going to have the presentation by purchasing as it relates to the RFP process. That was a request that I believe Judge O'Hare that you had made, and we have that scheduled for next week. Also, there was an item that we had delayed action on, which was staffing for public health, and there was grant-funded staffing, and we are going to give you a briefing on the details of that grant so that you know where those staff are going to be allocated to, and the reason why we're asking for that from through federal dollars. Also, our office and Mr. Schaffner is going to be working and presenting our legislative review and update for the court. We're going to be seeking action from the court on our legislative policy because the legislature is in session. I want to also give you an update on the Texas Urban Counties LGC. We own a building in Austin, and every year we get funds from that building, and so that's something that we haven't brought to court probably in in 10 years or so, just to make sure that the court is aware of that possession and the monies that we bring in. We've received another check from that, and we'll talk a little bit about, or just to give you all a heads up as to what that program is.
To
And
be
also,
clear, we're not the sole owners.
no,
of
we
that
are
building.
one of 4 counties that own that building. And it's something that we use for the Council of Urban Counties. Also, there's a lease provision in that structure, that LGC, and that's where we gain revenues. We're also going to want to talk with you all about a law enforcement training academy for the county, and bring you some information on it, get some direction from you all. If you all are interested in moving forward with that, if we do move forward, I would really like to make sure that a consensus on the court is to move forward on that particular item. And then finally, we're also going to be talking to you a little bit about our weekly meetings and the possibility of cutting back on a meeting every Tuesday to see if we'd like for you all to begin to consider maybe having 3 meetings a month and skipping one of those weeks. That'll give the staff some additional time to prepare for some of the material that we're going to be presenting to you. But we'd like to have a general discussion on that. And so we've scheduled that for next week also. So enjoy the short meeting today, if it is short, because next week it may not be quite as short. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Now, Commissioners Court announcements. Let me introduce, where is Judge Walker? Judge Walker here. Good morning. This is Judge Jeff Walker, retired. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. Announcements.
Yes, I would like to announce my 9th annual prostate cancer education and screening event. This is something that we do every year, focused on African American and Hispanic men, because men of color tend to be of much higher risk of prostate cancer than the population at large. They are at even higher risk if there is prostate cancer in their immediate family. For instance, I'm a prostate cancer survivor. So my son is at higher risk of prostate cancer than his peers. So I made sure that he had his first PSA at age 30 rather than what the orthodoxy says, age 40. Prostate cancer is a disease from which you do not need to die. The way you avoid dying from prostate cancer is through early detection and early treatment. So we started this prostate cancer education and screening event. This will be our 9th annual. It's in partnership with the Moncrief Cancer Institute, among others. It will be held at the Moncrief Cancer Institute, 400 West Magnolia. The date is February 18th, which is a Saturday. It will begin at 10 a.m. from 10 to 2. We will educate men about what prostate cancer is and how to avoid it by being screened, and then we will give men the opportunity to be screened by having a PSA exam that morning on the spot. Everything about this event is free, including the meals that we will serve during the course of the event. And these sponsors listed across the bottom of this flyer are the ones who pay to make it be free. The only thing that we ask is that men who intend to appear, men who intend to participate, register online at www.tarrantcounty.com and click on Commissioner Precinct 1, and it will direct you to the registration portal. Again, February 18th from 10 to 2 at the Moncrief Cancer Care Center. For those men who are shown to have elevated PSAs, we have referral sources for those men so that they can be further examined and treated. So free.
How much is the cost to join? So I see that the NFL Alumni Association is one of the sponsors. There's some Cowboys we hope join that soon. So
Yes, and prostate cancer is an initiative of Major League Baseball, so the Texas Rangers Baseball Club will have representatives present at the event as well.
excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Brooks, for that. Anybody else have anything?
I've got a couple.
Yep.
First, I wasn't here last week. I was down in Austin at Governor Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's inauguration. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that in Tarrant County, we are very, very well represented down in Austin this session. Our very own Kelly Hancock, Senator Kelly Hancock, he was selected as President pro tempore of the Texas Senate, and our very own Craig Goldman, Precinct 4's own Craig Goldman, is the chair of the Majority Party Caucus down in Austin. So it was a very good event, the inauguration. I feel like Tarrant County is very well represented down there, and our needs are going to be heard one way or the other. So I'm very excited about that session. Second,
I would point out that precincts 1 and 4 share Representative Goldman.
We'll ask him.
Fact, I live in his district.
Let's ask him who he claims. We'll find him. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention on the 20th of this month, the Department of Homeland Security put out a press release that mentioned our Tarrant County Sheriff's Office took part in an incredible operation to save victims of human trafficking. They arrested 46 individuals for heinous crimes that involved everything from drug trafficking, gun violence, but most egregiously human trafficking. And it's Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So that's an incredible job by our Tarrant County Sheriff's Office for kind of leading the charge. And I know that we've done a lot of good work there, but every time we can champion the work that our law enforcement officers are doing, we need to take that opportunity. So thank you to our Sheriff's Office for doing that. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. Next up, approval of the minutes from the January 17th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move approval.
I have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. All right. Passes unanimously. Next up on the agenda is recognition of the 2022 Leadership Development Program participants. And you have a presentation on that? Okay.
Excuse me. For those new to the court, I'm Larry Wilson, Staff Development Officer in Human Resources. This is something we've been doing since 2000. We've had over 300 employees go through the program in those years. You have some information about it on your screen, I believe. They are required to take, the purpose of the program is to train people in leadership skills and county policy and to acquaint them. The big thing is to get them acquainted with each other and other departments so we don't live in silos. So there are a number of required classes that they go through, one class per month. The big thing is that they research a department outside their own department, prepare a presentation and give it to their peers. And we have a special day for that particular program. And they, at the end of the program, they receive a nice plaque. So that's what we're here today for, is to introduce them to the court and to give them their plaques.
Okay. Are you going to introduce them? Or?
I am.
Okay.
So this always, yes. And this is Sergio. He's going to assist me here today. It's a little difficult to balance a mic and do all this together at the same time. So first up is Sergeant Wallace Foy. He's with Constable Precinct 2. Yes, back here. Make a line in front of the podium there. Janelle Holt, Community Development. Marguerite Jones, also with Community Development.
Go Mags.
Dee Long, Commissioner Precinct 3. Not a problem. Mozali Lopez, Human Services. Felicia Manning, Juvenile Probation. Christopher Miranda, Elections. Lisa McRae, Housing. Isaac I'm sorry for the mispronunciation here, Samamingo.
Some money.
Isaac, he is with Domestic Relations. We will send him his plaque. Mayo Sanchez Perez, Jr. Precinct 3. Shannon Slay, Human Services. Pamela Solomon, Public Health. Rashisha Weathersby, Sheriff. Sharon Winchell Jones, Public Health. recognize our group of people today. We'll make a couple of those here. Take your time. Now we get the official. Thank you. All right, now we'll meet out in the hall.
All right, thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate your service to the county and you're willing to participate in this program. All right, next up is the consent agenda. I think we've removed one item from the consent agenda. Anything else to be removed or discussed?
Move approval of the consent agenda, save and accept that item that has been removed.
Second.
We have a motion to second to approve the consent agenda with the exception of the one item removed. Any discussion? Cast your votes. All right, passes unanimously. Next up,
Judge, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yep.
the court may want to receive and file the recognitions for the employees on that
Okay.
program.
all right.
I move to receive and file the recognition of the 2022 Leadership Development Program participants.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please cast your votes. All right, passes unanimously. Now we move to our auditor time, receive and file the quarterly investment report.
So we're required to participate in the Public Funds Investment Act requirements, and one of those requirements is that quarterly, the investment officer has to prepare a report and present to the governing body. So we have the investment report for the quarter ending September 30th, and just so you know, of course, our year ends September 30th. You might be wondering where December is, but we close out our books and we're going through preparing all our work for the outside auditors. And so you won't see the December report for a few more days, but this is the report as of September 30th. I'd be happy to answer or attempt to answer any questions you might have.
Can you explain what the pools of investments are exactly?
So there are various organizations that are available for governmental entities because they only buy the things that the Public Fund Investment Act allows us to buy. And they're kind of like a money market pool that you would put your money in. You put it in, you can take it out. There's not any restrictions as far as you being able to put it in and withdraw it. And we use those because they lag the actual increase that the Fed might make. There's like a 30-day lag, but they generally pretty much mirror the market rate. And so we have obviously a large sum of money invested in those different pools. Hilltop Security runs one of the pools. One of them's run by what used to be the state tax pool. Different pools, but they all invest only in things that we're allowed to invest in.
Okay. In the what is called the Commissioner's Court communication, just under the fiscal impact little
Yes.
section, there's a sentence that says, for the 3 months ended September 30th, interest earnings for all county funds were approximately $6.48 million.
Yes, sir.
Then on the accompanying document, unless I'm reading this inaccurately, it says actual interest year-to-date total through September 30th was $9,013,000. Can you explain the difference there?
No, I'd have to look at that. The court communication probably is incorrect and maybe wasn't updated. The analysis of where the money is, though, and the amounts are correct. I do know that as far as what's invested and where it's invested.
So,
But I can get back with you on the
So,
difference.
and I think what,
Maybe you know.
well, actually, what I think the judge is referencing, the $6.4 million is a 3-month period.
It's the actual interest,
Okay.
right?
Right, and the 9 point.
Is the year-to-date,
Yes, it's year-to-date, so that's a 12-month cumulative of the
So
monies.
the cover sheet only reflects the current quarter, so that's the difference then, yes.
and so just so I'm clear, the 3 months, which would basically be July, August, September,
Yes, sir.
was $6.48 million.
Yes, because rates have been rising, and so the
Okay.
actual interest for year-to-date, and it comes down to the 9. But yes, the July, August, and September is outlined there is the 6.4.
So basically, in 3 months, it was 2/3 of the previous 12 months, and that's just simply due to interest rates rising.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Last thing, and this is probably something, again, just I'm trying to understand it and make sure I know what I'm looking at and talking about. And this may be a longer presentation. It could be something I can come by your office, you can come by mine. How exactly do we decide how to invest county funds?
Okay, so many years ago, the treasurer's position in this county was abolished. The county auditor was given that task. So I'm the county's investment officer. I've been open, and I'm still open at any point in time, to having any sort of investment committee that would participate and advise the investment officer, the county auditor, on decisions in regards to making those investments. We don't currently have that, but again, that's something that we could set up. The truth of the matter is, because we don't have a treasurer and don't have staff that are solely, for the most part, dedicated to treasury functions, they function in the auditor's office doing other things. Historically, we have found that the pools, and I have a very lucrative agreement with Chase, which I'm sure they're gonna come back and ask for some renegotiation, but the current rate that we're being paid by Chase on about $500 million as of December was the 4.45%. So if they take more money, I would give it to them at that rate, but they won't take any more money.
Right.
And because of the lag that they have in their own investments, I know they want to renegotiate that rate. But we've used that exclusively, and then we've used the pools. We can buy agencies, we could ladder out investments, we can do a variety of things. There's always offsets to that. We could probably increase the investment income. Right now, with the inverted yield curve and the very short investments earning all the money, there isn't really anything to buy. And there's even a shortage of agency notes and things that we could purchase. But again, any of you that would be interested in having a conversation, and if you're interested in having one of your staff people participate and work periodically with the auditor, so we simply update you so you have more information, we'd be more than willing to do
Okay,
that.
thank you. And just to clarify, right now, how it's decided is in your department?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. There was never a commissioner's court policy that said, here's how we want you to do it, or, like you said, no
Because
committee?
again, as the investment officer, as the treasurer, that's where the liability comes back to the treasurer, and so therefore the treasurer would have sole discretion, even if you had a committee. And again, I would be happy if someone else wanted to be the investment officer, quite honestly, but because of the way the constitutional amendment took place and the auditor was actually named as taking the place, because in other counties it's an elected position, there isn't any opportunity there to not have the sole responsibility rest with the investment officer. But again, I've always been more than willing to communicate and have input from others. The last thing I'll say on that is that, we're fairly limited in what we can invest in, but we would also, we have so much cash, yes, but we also have sometimes our cash flow analysis probably needs to be a little stronger if we were truly ever to want to go out longer term. Our policy limits us to 5 years or 2 years. We don't really want to invest long term, but we also would need a good cash flow before we went out even 2 years, per se, because you don't want to have a loss when you need money that you didn't anticipate.
Right. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, the action item is to receive and file the quarterly investment report. Do we have a motion?
I move approval to receive and file the quarterly investment report ended September 30th, 2022.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, cast your votes. All right, passes unanimously. Next up on the agenda
This is the one item that we pulled
is
from.
the facilities, yes, so that would be, well, item number 1 under facilities management. So, yeah, so I'm the one that asked for that to be pulled. Just so I'm clear on this, the bathroom remodel are public bathrooms at the jail, not that inmates are using.
No, this
Okay.
is the main.
So this is
entrance
not in the secured area.
Unsecured,
Okay.
that is correct.
So is it the total contract for men's and women's bathrooms?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you know how many stalls, urinals, things are in there that we're talking about?
I believe, Your Honor, if I'm not mistaken, it's 3 stalls for the female,
Okay.
2 stalls and 2 urinals for the men.
Okay. And to remodel those two bathrooms cost $267,000.
That's correct, Your Honor, because we had to change everything out in them. There was pony walls that were a part of this back when the original jail was
There
built.
were what?
Pony walls, shorter walls that kind of separated the
Walls.
stalls.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
And that was done in 1990, and now we're putting higher stalls in to create a more private situation.
Okay.
And the reason for the change, Your Honor,
Uh-huh.
it was unknown conditions. All of this was behind the wall. When they pulled off the old toilets and stuff, we found all the carriages were corroded and things were in bad shape behind the wall. So that's to replace and repair all of those.
Okay. And it says to meet ADA requirements
That's correct.
is part of this $20,000 change. Toggle switches to tamper-proof switches, and this is for 2 bathrooms totaling, basically, I think what you said, 3 + 4, 7 total places to go to the bathroom.
That's correct.
Okay. Were you around when the original bids were put in?
The original bids for the project?
Yes.
Yes, I was. Your Honor.
Okay. Was this the lowest?
Yes, it was. Falkenberg was the lowest.
Goodness gracious. Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion to approve change order number 1. We have a second. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor, cast your vote. Opposed, no. All right. Pass unanimously. Thank you, sir. Next up, Human Resources.
Move to
Receive and-
receive and file a personnel agenda.
Motion to receive and file the personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All right. Cast your vote. Passes unanimously. Next up, approval of out-of-class pay extension IT.
Yes, good morning,
Good morning.
and thank you for approving our first item. The out-of-class pay policy is a policy that we've had in place for some time. And again, for our new court members, out-of-class pay allows an individual to receive additional compensation if they assume duties of a position at a higher level than the one that they currently occupy. Typically, that adjustment to pay is 5%, but it could be more, depending upon the situation. The policy also only allows an individual to perform at this higher level in 90-day increments. And so the request that we have before you is before you because we're at the end of the first 90 days. And so the request from the IT department is to allow this individual to continue to perform at this level, higher level, for an additional 90 days. Now, the position that they're acting in, we are actively recruiting for the position. It is one of the more difficult positions to recruit for. So we're looking high and low. We've established some new recruitment relationships, and we're hoping that that proves fruitful. But in the interim, the request is for the, again, the additional 90 days. That would take us through the end of April. There is a cost related to this, as I mentioned. That's approximately $1,700 in this case, but that cost will be completely offset by salary savings.
Move approval.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All right. All right, that passes unanimously.
Thank you. And
Next
then-
up, approval of waivable of terminal benefits Sheriff's Office.
Yes. So as described in your court communique, the Sheriff's Office has a vacancy in confinement. They're eager to fill the position. We're looking to the court to waive 240 vacation hours effective January 28th. We are looking at net savings to the general fund of approximately $5,100.
Any questions?
Move for approval.
All right, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All right, cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously.
Commissioner Brooks, many thanks for your attention to Prostate cancer, I've mentioned this before publicly, and my husband is perfectly fine with me saying this publicly because he too is an advocate for early testing. He has been cancer-free now for probably a decade. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but because it was caught early, he received treatment early. And again, he's been cancer-free for over a decade. So many thanks. Early screening is critical.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you. All right, is this the point where we're going to have an update from Vinny? Come on up.
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the court.
Morning.
Hey, Ben, we do need to also make sure that we approve the claims in the addendum.
Where was that?
It's right above the briefing items. It's item number 11A.
Move to approve the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
Oh, well, I've moved 11A. Okay. I hadn't gotten to reports and business from purchasing yet. Is it all? Oh, it's all. I gotcha. Okay.
I can come back?
Now,
Okay.
what's what are we approving? Motion to approve what?
Claims, including the addendum.
Claims in the
The claims addendum. Okay. We have a motion and a second? Any discussion? Okay. Cast your vote. All right. Passes unanimously. Now, here we go.
All right. Well, I mostly bring good news today. On the rainy day, I'd like to share that we, moved our COVID community level yesterday from high to medium. Thankfully, because hospitalizations are actually trending down now in Tarrant County. Last week, I think some of y'all may have received some questions about ICU data. We track some of that, but not to that granular detail. Mostly, I would suggest if there's questions, we refer them over to the hospital council or one of the local hospitals. But generally, what I understand is our ICUs tend to stay pretty full, being a large county. I think last week and even this week, we're at about 94-95% occupancy. That is not to be confused with the COVID load within the hospitals. That's been fairly reasonable, about 6%, I think, so we're trending down on that. There were times when COVID was pushing hospital capacity to the limit, especially in the ICUs. I remember a particular time we had one bed left, and COVID was taking up more than 30% of the beds in ICUs. That was a very different time. Right now, we're at about 6% of overall ICU capacity, and there's like 37 beds available or something in that range. So it's not a bad spot. It's hospital staffing, available beds, and they manage that workload pretty well in Tarrant County. So I wanted to clarify that. But overall, hospitalizations in general are trending down. We're below our thresholds, and that was what was really pushing our level up into high. Cases are starting to trend down. And one number that we've talked about in the past, some of y'all may not have heard me, but the R0 is below 1, which is good. That means every person who's had COVID recently is infecting less than one person, thus slowing down the outbreak. So things are okay. And even nationally, as you can see on that map of the U.S., it's lighter shades all across mostly, and things are looking okay. Still a good idea to get a booster shot, and I've explained this a couple of times. The new booster has the bivalent vaccine available, and that's the only booster available. It is a good idea to get that because it protects against the original COVID strains and some of the newer ones. And the way the immune system works, once you give it sort of a variety of targets to choose, it expands its capacity to fight any eventualities that may happen with COVID. So it's broadening the immune system's range to address COVID. So it's a very useful booster to have. Even though we switched to a medium, the recommendation is still consider wearing a mask, especially in public indoor settings when you're in the winter months. But there's a little nuance there. Most people that are generally healthy can quit worrying about that. This is more geared towards people who may have underlying health conditions. They have diabetes, heart disease, cancer, other illnesses that may put them at higher risk. And also with the lowering level, I wanted to let folks know we had a testing site going 3 days a week at our Southwest location. Starting next week, we'll be bringing that back down to 1 day a week because the volume has dropped to like less than 10 people seeking testing, 8, 6. So to give staff some reprieve, we're going to bring it back down to 1 day a week. Questions, sir? No? Okay. All right, so flu trends. Flu is declining as well in Texas and in Tarrant County. The map on the left is more from CDC, and sometimes their data lags a little bit, but it's showing Texas at a high, which could very well be, but the local data that we see, we're pretty much close, just above baseline on both Tarrant County data and Texas data. So I think we have more accurate, more current data. So it remains to be seen if we see a second peak in February. So my advice would be anybody who's not taken a flu shot, it's a good match this year, so take your flu shot. We still have about a good couple of months of cold weather and flu season left. And then, you know, again, if you're gonna be out and about and you've got underlying health conditions, wear a mask in a crowded setting. It just helps prevent these respiratory illnesses. And y'all may have heard the whole story about the triple-demic. We had RSV, the flu, and COVID. Everything's declining, so we're in kind of a good shape where we got some reprieve in the community, so we're pretty excited about that. And then this will be probably my final slide on monkeypox unless something changes. For the last 3-4 weeks, we've been reporting 0 cases. We're probably not going to call, technically the outbreak's over in Tarrant County, but we're not gonna call it that just yet because we have cases over in Dallas. We're a tightly knit community. Texas still has cases going on, and then, you know, in the spring season, there's some, you know, large gatherings coming up. So till it's over, we're just gonna say it's under control in Tarrant County, and then just keep an eye out on it at Public Health, and we won't bother you with these details till if there's any other cases, we'll bring it back. So that's all I have. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for anybody? Okay, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vinny.
Okay, next up, appointments to various boards. Do we have any motions to make?
I've got
I
several.
do.
You go first.
Okay. I would like to move that we appoint our Judge Tim O'Hare to the North Central Texas Council of Governments Board of Directors as our representative.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you.
I would nominate Judge Tim O'Hare to the Tarrant County Purchasing Board.
All right, we have a motion to appoint me to the Purchasing Agent Board. Do we have a second?
Second.
Going to die on the vine here? All right. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. All right, that passes unanimously.
In addition, Your Honor, the North Central Texas Council of Governments Surface Transportation Technical Committee. I would nominate Randy Skinner and Joseph Jackson, both of our Transportation Department, to represent Tarrant County on that board.
All right, we have a motion to appoint Randy Skinner and Joseph Jackson as the Tarrant County representatives to the COG Service Transportation Technical Committee. I'll second that. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously.
To the COG Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, I nominate Susan Young, who is our mobility coordinator, as our representative on that committee.
I'll second that. Any discussion there? All right, please cast your vote. All right. Ms. Young is now the representative on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
On the Tarrant County Certified Local Government Committee, I would move appointment of Ann Yockmain and Elliot Kip Wright.
Second.
We have a motion to appoint Ann, is it Jack Main? Is that how you say it?
Your
Close
guess
enough.
is as good as mine.
And Kip Wright.
I was told Yockmain, but whatever.
What is the Tarrant County Certified Local Government Committee?
That is a committee of the Historical Commission.
Gotcha.
And it's a requirement as you apply for state grants to have this committee.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, cast your votes. All right, those
And
are
Ann
approved.
is the Assistant Tarrant County Archivist. Ann Yockmain.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, excellent. Any other, oh, I have two. Do you have any?
No.
You have any?
Yeah, I've got a few, but they'll wait till next week.
Okay, so I just have two simple ones, I believe. I would make a motion to appoint Andy Wynn to the Tarrant County Variance Appeal Board and to appoint him as a surrogate to the bail bond board for when I cannot make that.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to appoint Andy Wynn to the Tarrant County Variance Appeal Board and the bail bond board as surrogate, and a second. Any discussion? All right, please cast your votes. All right, that passes unanimously. Any action concerning appointments to any TIFs?
Not at this time.
Okay, seeing none, we will now recess the open session and proceed to closed session to discuss items exempt under 551071, 551072, 551074, 551076, 551087, and 551075 of the Texas Government Code. The time is now 10:45. discuss. Motion to adjourn. January 17th, you were out.
We're ready to go.
All right. All right, after meeting in executive session, we are reconvening the regular meeting. There are no items to take action on as a result of the executive session, so we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. All in favor, cast your vote. Okay, we are adjourned. See everyone next week.